Well, our moms think we're funny.
Hey everyone, this is Turk 182.
And I'm Acomi.
And welcome to a kind of a special episode of Our Moms Think We're Funny.
Something a little bit different.
Special episode of Our Moms Think We're Funny. So this time around...
On today's episode of Our Moms Think We're Funny, Turk, I have cancer.
Well, it's official. I have cancer. So we're a little late in doing this, but I don't think it's too late.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever too late.
Yeah. But so Kopai and I decided that, hey, let's kind of we're going to sit down and rap with the young folk. No. But we decided, hey, let's go ahead, and we've been doing our shows and our podcasts, and of course, with our Let's Play, we've got a lot more Let's Play videos that we haven't actually posted yet.
Yeah, tons.
And, and we kind of talk a lot more about who we are and stuff on those. But for our podcast listeners, we haven't really kind of talked to people about who we are, and kind of just share a little bit of, who we are and where we come from, and kind of...
and where we go.
Yeah.
Where we come from, Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah. God, you fucking... Anyway, say... That blue thing I got from the court, that would be exposing themselves, and you don't want us exposing ourselves. But basically kind of like just say, hey, this is who we are. Because I think one of the main things that when I kind of proposed that we do this was to kind of tell the people that listen to our podcast, to kind of show them that we're not characters. We don't play characters doing a podcast.
Yeah, this is not a personality thing that we put on at all.
Which it's great. And I don't see what's okay. I don't have a problem with like dropping names of shows and people and things like that we listen to, because those are people that we listen to and things that I like.
Yeah.
And I don't tag any of those people in our posts. I'm not trying to get them to to listen to or repost or tweet or whatever. But I do kind of feel bad, like I'm almost like I'm like piggybacking off these other people. But then if you don't listen to them, right, then you really don't. It doesn't really matter. But
right.
When I listen to Daniel O'Brien, who used to be with Cracked and now does a bunch of other things, he was talking with one of his fellow Cracked guys, Michael Swain, and they were talking. He was like, the show that you used to do on Cracked, where you did the obsessive pop culture disorder.
Yeah.
And he was like, that was a character that he played that wasn't really him.
Right.
It had some characteristics of him, but it wasn't him. It was a character that he played.
Right, yeah.
When you watch Cinemassacre, right? So the angry video game nerd is a character that he plays.
Right,
You see more of who he is when he's doing his movie rental reviews and when he's doing the movie massacre stuff.
Yeah, he's a really chill person.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the Game Grumps. Like, Aaron portrays himself in the Game Grumps as being a very angry, spastic, bombastic person, but he's really chilled in real life.
So, but with us, we will kind of play off each other, but, we don't play characters. This is who we are.
Yeah.
So we just kind of wanted to just kind of touch base with people and be like, hey, let's just kind of let you know where we come from. Because one of the things I think it really kind of prompted this is when we're doing our recording, we constantly drop references and quotes to movies, TV shows.
Damn, Turkey, we're making a German spectacle of yourself.
No, thank you. 15 is my limit on Schnitzengruben. But the thing is, that's really how we talk.
Oh, yeah.
In everyday life. Now, the only difference is through some personal things that I went through, and this is a choice that I made at work. I am a very different person.
Yeah, yeah.
And I am a very subdued person, and I don't let my real personality like come through. I'll let pieces of it out,
Right.
but I don't let it come through because, again, it's a personal thing. But you know, um,
Well, yeah, and I'm really the same way. Like around people I'm not comfortable with, I don't cuss.
yeah, and I think some of the people I work with probably think that I'm, not a saint, but that I'm like a prude.
Right.
Because I keep all that hidden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that again, this is a personal thing, so I'm not going to say that this is, that this is because, oh, well, I have this and that. But I felt that for my last job, which I had some problems with, leading up to when I left and when I quit.
Right.
I did feel like I was the familiarity that I created with people did made me like kind of drop my guard some, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so I made it a point that when I started working at this new place, that I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let my guard drop, and I'm not going to let them see the real me. Again, it's just a personal thing. It's not because it's not. It was just something I decided. Like, I felt this way about my last interaction, and I don't want to let that happen again.
Right. Right.
And it may not be the actual truth of the situation, but that's kind of how I felt, and that was a decision I made because of it. So, but outside of that, who I am is who I am, and this is really how we talk. And Komi and I have actually talked about making a list of like, here's all the things that we reference.
Yeah.
And we've had conversations where I've said, you know what, I kind of feel a certain way about when we're our podcast and our jokes and our references, because it does feel like we're using other people's jokes to elicit laughs from our listeners, and that's not the case. It's really how we communicate with each other, with other people. This is how I talk. Ain't you seen my movies? But this is really how he and I converse, and this is how I converse with other people.
Yeah.
We just toss out pop culture references, and I've said it before. It's almost like a meme. The idea of a meme is that you have this. Goddamn.
Right.
Sorry. we're watching a movie, a Full Moon. Was it Full Moon Entertainment? The people that did like Subspecies and Puppet Master and that kind of stuff. We're watching one of their movies, and of course, whenever we're doing a podcast, we're always watching a movie. Just in the background, there's always a movie going on in the background.
Did you see that camera cut?
I did.
To show her vampire face.
That was bad.
This is a treat. We should have done a Let's Watch of this.
Yeah. Well, since we're not actually listening to it, I think we still can.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We should.
But anyway, so but it's kind of it's a meme type thing where the idea behind the meme is I want to convey, a sentiment. I want to give a message, but I don't want to use I want to be able to instantly tell you what's going on.
Right.
And so I'm going to use this meme, which you see, you automatically identify with the situation. Now I just need to toss my words in there.
Yeah.
And, whether it's Willy Wonka, Fry, shut up and take my money, whatever it is, when you see that, you automatically know the situation. So I just need to just put my words into it, and you get it without me having to use like a big, huge paragraph.
Right, yeah.
And with our pop culture references, the way I talk, I'm conveying, an entire, paragraph or two in just a couple of, quotes from things.
Yeah, it's like a picture's worth 1,000 words
Right.
in that sense.
In this case, our pop culture references are kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
With Wallcrawler and I are huge Simpsons fans. Primarily old Simpsons, so anything from, like, I'd say 2013 and back.
Right.
And I'm just drawing 2013 as a line. Some people say that Simpsons lost its way with the Armin Tanzarian episode with Principal Skinner. And then others, will say, well, it came later. For me, I think it came a little bit later. It still had some life in it after Conan O'Brien left. But then along the way, there was a noticeable drop when I'm like, hey, this isn't funny. And when you can't make a Halloween episode funny,
Yeah.
your shit's gone.
Yeah, jeez.
But he and I, Wallcrawler and I will often, I can just text him a line of dialogue from The Simpsons, and he will immediately pick it up because we know it that well. And that's, like I say, that's how we communicate. And you and I are the same way with different things, where we'll see something, we know something very well, and we'll immediately just kind of fire it off.
Right, right.
I mean, I'm a guy that will sometimes quote entire lines of dialogue from movies when I'm home alone, just walking through the house, or I'm, making some coffee,
Yep.
and
I do that while I'm driving. I'll just like run through dialogues and videos and stuff.
yeah, I mean, I'll be driving to work, and like there's nothing good on the radio, and next thing I know, I'm like, man, we should have shotguns for this kind of deal. How many up there? 3 or 4? That count our guy? Not sure. So you mean it could be up to 5 guys up there? It's possible. We should have fucking shotgun. I mean, that's and I will. And this is me being kind,
Right.
Because normally I will start off with, so tell me again about the hash bars. Hey, what you
Right.
want to know? Hash is legal there, right? And then I will run all the way up through, it's like, oh, I shot Marvin in the face. What the fuck did you do that for, man? I didn't mean to shoot son of a bitch. The gun went off. You must have hit that bump. Look, the car didn't hit no motherfucking bump. Actually, I'll even go through that to, knock it off, Julie. You have to tell me fucking get my coffee is, all right? All right? I'm the one that buys it. I know how good it is. When Bonnie goes shopping, she buys shit. I buy the gourmet expensive stuff, so when I drink it, I want to taste it. What's on my mind right now ain't the coffee in my kitchen. It's a dead ninja in my garage. I will go from tell me again about the hash bars all the way through, and actually,
Right.
I will go all the way through. It's like, are we cool? It's like it never happened. It's like, I'm taking my lady to breakfast. Give you guys a ride somewhere? Where you live? Redondo, Inglewood. It's your future. I see a cab ride. Move out of the sticks, gentlemen. I did so.
Love that.
Again, this is just who I am.
Yeah, yeah.
And these are not things that we're trying to, that we're just banking off other people's jokes. It's just this is how we normally communicate with one another.
It's the same thing. Like I really do just like reference Christian stuff all the time. Outside of the show and in real life, that's just, that's an integral part of who I am. It's just like internet drama and lolcows, and I'm enthralled by that culture.
So that's so I want to kind of talk about that and talk about us. So
Yeah.
as you guys have listening probably know that I'm a huge movie fan, huge movie fan. I love movies. I'm not on the same level as Martin Scorsese when it comes to movies, which I think we were going to kind of talk about Martin Scorsese and Marvel movies because of his comments that he made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be.
And I'm going to tell you right now, before we even get into that, 'cause that's a separate podcast, I'm not going to jump down Martin Scorsese's throat about what he likes and what he doesn't like and how he feels, because he's Martin Scorsese.
Right.
And again, as much as we don't like it when people don't agree with our opinions on things, he is entitled to his opinion.
Yeah.
And I think it's not that we don't like when people don't agree with us, but we want to kind of explain to them, why we like it. Because when someone says, I don't like that, it's
Right.
almost like they're saying, you're an idiot because you do.
Right.
And of course, that's not what Marty's saying. I say Marty because he and I are really good friends.
Martin Scorsese, he's my friend.
But that's not what he's saying. But it's like you want to convince, like, hey, well, there's some good points to this. I don't just watch just anything.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of that same thing we've talked about with like, this is why you get like fan bases that are so vehemently defensive of things, and you like don't badmouth Kingdom Hearts, don't badmouth Sonic the Hedgehog, because people get very, like, I guess, zealous in defending it.
Yes. Okay, don't say shit about Dragon Ball Z. No matter how fucking racist it is. Don't say anything about Dragon Ball Z.
Let's ask Wally if he thinks it's racist.
But I love movies, and there's some movies obviously I watch over and over again. There's some movies I know by heart. Again, I'm not on the Martin Scorsese level because Martin Scorsese has watch a shit ton of movies.
Yeah.
He is in what I would call a true cinephile. And again, I will talk more about that in that particular podcast when we kind of talk about him. But he is a true cinephile. But I do love my movies, and I'm also a huge collector. At one time, one of my exes said that I collected collections, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of see. I am particular in what I collect, but hey, I have a collection of different things, from my movies to my comic books to my statues. One time I used to collect playing cards, used to collect Monopoly games, and with both of those I had to stop because those are never-ending things.
Right, right, yeah. There's got to be some kind of an end in sight. That was the movie?
Yeah, that was the movie.
Sorry. Like, nothing happened in that movie. We need to do a Let's Watch of that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I like all that stuff, and I love comic books. I've been reading comic books for the longest time. I became a big reader because of comic books.
Yeah, same.
Comic books really got me just started in reading novels as a whole, and then from there. But I never lost my love of comics. I will defend comics, for I don't know, till the cows come home.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me, like, Jeff Smith had it out with a school teacher one time. For those who don't know, Jeff Smith, the creator of the Bone graphic novel, he it was some kind of thing Scholastic was doing. It was like some kind of book fair thing, and this teacher made reference to like, comics are a good entry point for kids getting into real literature. And Jeff Smith just got into a huge argument with this lady. He was like, literature is literature. Like, if your kid's gonna read Bone, then I promise you they'll read Harry Potter.
Yeah, I think it's funny that they don't bring it up a lot, but you take a movie, like right now, the Joker's really big. We keep talking about Joker, and it's like, here's a comic book movie that's not really a comic book movie because it doesn't have this and that or whatever. And I always go back to, let's talk about all these comic book movies that are out there that you didn't know came from comics.
Right.
That you've watched and loved. And I'll take something like Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. That came from a comic book.
Really?
That's adapted from a comic book. History of Violence with Viggo Mortensen. That's adapted from a comic book.
That's crazy.
So there are a lot more movies that are adapted from comic books that are technically comic book movies that don't involve superheroes. So comics is a much bigger genre than what you think it is. Winona Earp, that sci-fi TV series, that's from a comic book. I have the first issue of it. Didn't like the series at all. I thought it was garbage. This is my personal opinion. But that is from, oh my God, this guy's name is Cooter Brown.
Cooter Brown, oh my God.
And he Honey Wagon.
Honey Wagon?
I say Honey Wagon. That's not even like a character name. That's like one of the crew things, Honey Wagon.
Somebody get the Honey Wagon out here. It's me, I'm Cooter Brown.
So yeah, there's a lot more to comics than just, holy shit, Royal Crown Bottling Company. You know that you're making a low budget movie when you get sponsored by Royal Crown. RC Cola is your sponsor. You don't get much low budget than that. Wow.
Cooter, put down that moon pie and that RC Cola. We need the Honey Wagon in here, Cooter. Yeah, sorry about that.
Honey, get Mama's pride board. So,
y'all quit it. But yeah, no.
But anyway, comic books are more than just what you see, or more than what people want you to believe that they are.
Right.
And I'll defend it. And there are some comics that are less than great. Oh, it's only 52 minutes. It's not even a real movie. Can you even have a movie that's less than an hour long?
They just did.
Oh, jeez.
They got naked a couple times, and that was about it, really.
Oh, man.
They ran in slow motion a lot.
Yeah.
I think if you remove all the slow motion, then it becomes like a 45-minute film.
Probably.
But
that's a part of who I am.
Yeah.
And I reference, comic books. I reference movies. You and I both are big music fans, too.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll reference music and things that we like, we will reference. And this is just kind of who we are. And I think almost everybody that I know that I associate with talks in this manner, where this is just because it's an instant way of communicating without really having to go into any kind of big explanation. I can just kind of get my point across real quick. Yeah. I can get the quick laugh from it and then move on.
We've talked about this in other things, and like especially like with regards to like horror films and things like that. For us, it's a really quick way of finding a connection with somebody.
Oh yeah,
because like for us, the movies and such that we reference, it's kind of a very specific niche, and it's going to be a really quick way for us to find these are my people, because we're gonna be dropping references to like Jason X or something like that not everybody's gonna get. And I've talked about this before with like for a lot of people, if they're gonna quote Watchmen, they're gonna quote like those couple of really well-known quotes.
And I will whisper no.
Yeah, I will whisper no, or I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me. Those are like the ones you're gonna hear if you drop Watchmen in a room full of strangers. But like for us, it's gonna be somebody who's gonna like start taking quotes from like Doc Manhattan's soliloquy on Mars or something like that.
Yeah.
The people that we're gonna connect and jive with are gonna be the ones who go, it's 1942. I am a student here, or whatever.
Right.
It's those deep cuts, I guess. And it's the same thing with like Fight Club. If we reference Fight Club, everybody and their fucking brother's gonna go, oh, first with the Fight Club, you don't talk about Fight Club.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, we're not gonna connect with those people. The people we're gonna connect with are like, oh yeah, massive swinging tits, the way you think of God's is big. And it's like, ha-ha!
Yeah. Or it's like, our fathers were our models for God. If our fathers bailed, what does that tell you about God?
God, that scene.
You have to accept the possibility that God does not like you. He never wanted you. In all probability, he hates you. Those are people that when you drop something like that, like, yeah, you're my people.
Yep.
In Watchmen, if someone's going to drop a Watchmen quote, and they say, she actually had a really good one a minute ago. It's like, stop me, Dan. If I thought there was even a possibility of you stopping me, he's like, do you think I would have delivered, my whole like plan if there was a possibility you could stop me? Right, I did it 30 minutes ago. I mean, those are the ones where like, yeah, this guy's there. Or if you say, like big talk, small world. Those are the people that are like, yes, because again, it's just that instant connection. If I'm in the middle of a room with somebody and I say, it's okay, he just wanted his machete back, and somebody laughs, like, bam, that's my guy. Yeah, that's my guy.
I mean, like, I know that there's been times at cons where we would just be like tabling and we'd do the whole exchange from the alien frat boys, like, dude, my dad owns a dealership.
His dad totally owns a dealership.
And we would have people like stop the table and be like, oh, dudes! And it's like, I mean, that's our thing. It's like, this is our way of just immediately figuring out, are we even going to have common ground here?
That's the movie I was trying to talk to J.O. Bowyer about. And I was thinking Halle Berry, but it's the eye.
Jessica Alba, okay.
Receives a cornea transplant and begins to see, like, supernatural shit.
Nice. That happened to me when I got LASIK. So.
Yeah, so... J.O. Bowyer, when you listen to this podcast, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember like 4 weeks ago we talked about that. Yeah, so again, as I said, when I kind of say these things just to kind of like say, give a little bit more context for who we are and kind of like, kind of where we're coming from.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important because you listen to us and you may find us funny, hopefully you do, or you may find us insightful in some way, but you don't really know where we're coming from, and we're not trying to lay out our whole life story for you. It's like, he slept with my mama!
Dude, it was the one time, and I said I was sorry.
Doctor said I needed backiotomy. So, but you don't really know where we're coming from. So it's like, hey, this is where we're coming from. So if you had some kind of inklings that, yeah, we feel that these guys are legitimate, yeah, we try to be.
Yeah.
But
like, we don't really have any benefit of putting on a character.
Right.
And, similarly, it's the same thing with our gameplay videos. I am really that much of a bitch. I scream that much in real life.
And I really am not that...
The best swimmer.
Shit, see, I was trying not to go. I'm like, we're talking about how we do this thing. I'm like, but maybe I shouldn't keep dropping quotes while I'm in the middle of explaining why I drop quotes.
I think that's fitting, honestly. I think
I'm
it's
just putting a hat on a hat on a hat on a hat. It's like I'm stacking fucking Yordle turtles. But yeah, it's yeah, but yeah, it's just like that. But I was gonna say, so something else that is as genuine as we are, if not more genuine,
are these fantastic products.
that's right. So listen to them and see if you think that they are just as open and honest as we are, or maybe, hopefully, even more. Yes, that is Mila Kunis in American Psycho 2.
I didn't know there was an American Psycho 2.
Yeah, and most people don't know it's American Psycho 2.
I like Mila Kunis, though.
You know, I thought she was super cute. Like when she, well, obviously not when she first appeared, I thought she was really cute when she was 15.
So you're in high school, or?
Yeah, one thing about high school chicks, I just keep getting older, they stay the same age. No, well, you know, at the time, nobody knew that she was, 15 or whatever. But no, when I first started to see her and all that, she was pretty cute. And lately, she's still an attractive woman. I'm not gonna say she's not, but I guess that instant, like, oh yeah, it's Mila Kunis, and man, she's like, she's so cute and adorable or whatever. It's not there for me as much as it used to be.
Right. Are we back?
I think we're back.
Are we back on?
Yeah,
hey,
no,
guys.
This is actually our ad for Mila Kunis, you know?
This episode brought to you by Mila Kunis.
It's like, hey, like me or don't, I still get paid.
Have you seen Black Swan? Good movie. Mila Kunis was 50% of the reason I saw Black Swan.
I still have not seen Black Swan.
It's only worth seeing for that scene with Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman.
Well, I mean, isn't Darren Aronofsky a pretty good director and writer-director?
Probably.
Okay.
That's literally not at all the reason that I went to see the movie.
Fair enough. So like I said, love movies. I don't when I look at my movie wall, I don't have a lot of comedies. I like comedies, but I'm not big into comedies. They're just one of those things that has to hit me just right for me to be like, I'm good with that. But and same thing with horror. I have a very small horror collection because for me, horror has to be. It can't just be fucking Blair Witch, not Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity. Which
right.
I understand a lot of people like that, but God, that is just so easy. It's I just can't stand it. I mean,
it's not a deep horror movie for sure. Hey, Deathgasm. Now that's a good horror movie. It's not a horror movie. It's it's a dark comedy. But
if we're gonna watch Deathgasm, we're gonna have to watch Deathbed, the Bed That Eats, which Roberts gave me a copy of. He loved it so much and was telling me, he's like, hey, I'm gonna get your very own copy of Deathbed, the Bed That Eats. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Shit. I don't know. What was I talking about?
So. Someone brought a monkey because a monkey knocked over the salad bar.
Sorry, dude.
No. So I've used that line in tons and tons of holy shit, Prey of the Jaguar. Okay, so I've used that line in a lot of our recordings. That comes from a scene in Lethal Weapon when they're trying to get Leo Getz to tell them where he knows this guy from. He's like, oh, okay. It's like, okay, I remember I was at a party and someone brought a monkey because the monkey knocked over the salad bar, and he goes this whole thing, and that line to me is just funny. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but it's just funny to me.
I was just gonna babble on about Deathgasm, but yeah, it's a fun movie.
But we were talking about Paranormal Activity and all that jazz.
Oh yeah. Shit, I don't remember what I was going to say about it.
We were talking about it being too easy,
Yeah. There we go.
like Sunday morning.
Like it. There we go. I remembered. Oh my god, I remembered something. P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
Yeah.
So, the thing with something like Paranormal Activity is that it falls into like this weird, awkward realm of it's easy, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to be just like instant mindless entertainment. Because like you've got the really thought-provoking horror movies that kind of challenge you, you know.
Yeah.
But then you have like what I like to refer to as just like the trashy schlock stuff, which I would equate with like Friday the 13th, where it's like, you know, you're here for tits and for violence, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get what you paid for, and you're gonna walk out of that experience happy. But then something like Paranormal Activity, it's like, oh, here's this like all access, low hanging fruit of jump scares, found footage, all this like really easy low budget stuff, but it's also not, you know, the mindless entertainment. It's not the cheap schlock of like Friday the 13th, where it's like, yeah, I got to see tits and I got to see some good kills and that's it.
Yeah.
So you just kind of wind up feeling dissatisfied with the whole thing.
Well, I'll say this. For me, there's cheesy horror like what we do our less watches on.
Yeah.
But for me, a true horror movie has to be one that sticks with you when the movie's over.
Yeah.
A horror movie can't just exist on the screen. A horror movie has to stick with you when you're on your drive home from the theater.
Yep.
When you go to your house that night and you're walking in there and you've been gone all day and you haven't turned on any lights, you know.
And you gotta run up those last couple of stairs when you're going upstairs.
Exactly. When every little noise you hear, you know, makes you turn around and be like, what's that? You know?
Come find me in the dark, fuckers.
So that to me is true horror. We talked about that earlier with you lost the true horror aspect of Friday the 13th after the second one, when Jason is not just some deranged serial killer or whatever. He's tied to, and you fix him to this point here, and you say, okay, now he's not scary to me because I'm at home and I'm not there.
Right.
And I've never been there. That's one of the things about A Nightmare on Elm Street, which even when Freddy got goofy as hell, it doesn't have to be necessarily Freddy, but eventually you're going to fall asleep. Whether you want to or not, your body is going to say, okay, I've got two choices here. It's either fall asleep or die.
Right.
And one of the great things about our bodies, well, you know, great thing from where I'm looking at it, some people may disagree, but one of the great things about our body is our body has a natural desire to stay alive.
Right.
So because of that, when it says, okay, we got two choices here, fall asleep or die, your body says, hey, fuck you, I'm going to bed. You know? and when that happens, you're going to dream.
Mm-hmm.
And
perchance.
Yes. To sleep, perchance to dream. Alas, Horatio, good York, I knew him. A man of infinite jest, whose lips I kissed, I know not how oft. Pause.
Gay!
Pause, Hamlet. Hamlet gay. So anyway, but no, it's yeah, that's that. But it wasn't trying to get off on the whole horror thing, but
it's just kind of like fresh on our minds.
So yeah, it was fresh on our minds.
Should add that to the list.
Sorry, I'm searching for words here. Anyway, yeah. So that whole thing. But another thing I was going to say is, going back to just kind of who I am and how I go. When somebody says something, a lot of times, if you say the right word or the right phrase, it will trigger an immediate response from me. That is a direct quote, but it's because someone has said it, and when they say it, it just automatically, that's the first thing that pops out of my mouth. So if you say a certain word, a certain phrase, it's going to just elicit a response from me, and it's not like I'm trying to, it just pops out. Like if someone says, right now, because I've watched Die Hard so many times, because I love the Die Hard franchise up through 4, right?
Right.
Because Die Hard only has 4 movies in it. But when someone says, hold on, crap, I'm trying to think of this, Stockholm Syndrome. And he's like, Helsinki. I always go, as in Helsinki, Sweden. It's like, because that's when someone says Helsinki, the first thing is just like, as in Helsinki, Sweden, and it just pops out. If you say certain things, I would just respond with it, and lots of times I have to catch myself because I'm like, oh shit, I can't say that, because sometimes it's not something that's appropriate to say. But so that comes from, like I said, my love of movies, my love of comic books, my love of music. You and I often, drop, like earlier, what did I say? Then we just started singing.
Damn, because I'm trying to remember what song we sang.
Weird Science. We started singing Weird Science.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something I planned. I just went, Weird Science, weird, and we just kind of went right into it. And next thing you know, we're just saying, like, the first couple of, like, bars to Weird Science, and
harmonizing beautifully.
Right. So anyway, I just, like I said, I thought it was kind of not necessarily important, but I really wanted to kind of just say, hey, let's kind of just talk to people a little bit and be like, hey, this is...
Please understand, I'm a high-functioning autistic male.
Sorry, it's Christian.
And I picked up on that. And I will just drop randomly for no reason. It pops into my head, and I'm just like, hey, this is who are we? 5-5. This is car 55. We're in a truck. Just because it's there, and I spit it out. So, and so another part is that Acomi and I, we're creators. We've branded ourselves. I guess I kind of branded ourselves creators. But like, hey, what do you think of that? And you were like, yeah, I think that's good. We used to be comic book creators. I'm a writer of novels, comic books, short stories. I think if you say novels, I think you kind of include short stories. Like, I can write something really long, but I can't write something really short. Like I'm like Zoolander, I can't turn to the right or whatever.
Always turn to the left.
So, but and
did you think I was too stupid to know what a googly is?
Oh my goodness. A movie I did not want to watch. I did not think it was funny, and it really was. Listen to your friend Billy Zane. And screenplays. So, and Acomi, being a incredible artist and a writer, and it's actually going to lead into the next thing I want to talk about too. But we, as we've kind of done more and we've worked together and we started doing the podcast, we did the less watches, we did the less plays, and now just because he and I live, a distance away, he hasn't really been able to join in. But now I've got the game on. I'm sorry, whose turn is it?
Yeah. Yep.
And then we have other things that we're working on, things that we want to do. We're going to branch into short films. He and I, help to like co-write, and we have a writing credit thanks to Leroy Strongfeet. But we have a writing credit in his movie Mossy Rock and Return to Mossy Rock, or was it
Mossy Rock?
Mossy Rock 2 Electric Boogaloo? No, old Mossy Rock is what it's called. but we acted in quotes acted in that, and then so. And
I'll have you know, Leroy started calling me the one-take wonder, so...
You are very good in that.
Thank you.
You are.
I wasn't chumming for compliments, but I'll take them.
Well, no, I love watching you deliver your line the exact same way every time we did it. And I was like, I would have thought that during one of these takes he would have gotten better, but no. Fuck you. Why do you build me a buttercup just to take me? Oh.
You never call when you say you will.
But I was like, you know what? With everything that we do, and even in our interviews, which are more I call them interviews, but I'm like, they're really just our 10 questions.
Yeah. But they're fun.
We're not comic book writers or artists. We're creators. That's what we like to do. We like to create. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of that. It's like, I think that's what we need to be. That's what we need to brand ourselves as. We're creators.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, we're creators. This is kind of who we are, and it's cool. So leading into the next thing, which we've dropped it out there, it's on our YouTube versions of the podcast. And it's been on a lot of our videos lately, which is the symbol, our symbol.
Oh yeah, the Senhai Kopai.
Yeah. So the Senhai Kopai symbol that we created, and so it comes. So the Senhai Kopai comes from the Senpai Kohai. Which is, like student teacher or, master teacher, master apprentice. And we took those, and when you look at the kanjis for those, both words, the senpai and the kohai, the kanji, they both share one of the same symbols. There's two symbols that make up the words, and they both share a symbol. Yep. And when I looked at us and what we do, I said, neither one of us is a teacher, or a master, but neither one of us is a student either, because we both bring something different. We have some skills that we're the same on or equal to, right. And then there are things that you are much more knowledgeable of and better at than I am, and you help to kind of show me and kind of teach me these things. And then it's the same way. It's the reverse. So So we change that around, and so instead of having the senpai kohai, it's the senhai kopai, meaning that we are both student and teacher.
Right.
Because of our dynamic, because we both have traits of, there's things that I can teach him and tell him and show him, and right. He does the same with me.
Yeah, it's a very symbiotic thing.
Very much so.
And
we are Korova. But so,
the wind.
And I think that's like a lot of good people, or at least a lot of good relationships. Mm-hmm. Is that's how they work, and I just want to kind of put that out there so people have seen it. We haven't really fully addressed what it is, and I thought it's also be a good time to kind of talk about that and say, hey, that's what this is, and that's kind of who we are. This is what we represent. Is we are neither one nor the other. We're both.
Right.
And we learn from each other, and we pass on what we learn, and it works.
Yeah. We feed off of each other creatively.
Yeah. So, but so that is in essence kind of me, and kind of talked a little bit about you in the same vein as you kind of pitched in, but. Let's go ahead and let's switch it over and let Acomi kind of talk a little bit more about Acomi.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head with being a creator. It's like that kind of thing really, I guess that's what gives me a sense of purpose. It's like, at the end of the day, what I want with all this stuff that I'm doing is that I want to make people's day a little bit better. Oh shit, they got a Kira on this thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm easily distracted. But no, like, you know, I'm not expecting to, like, change lives or whatever. When I was younger and a little more,
Naive.
yeah, a little more naive, had a little bit more delusions of adequacy, I kind of thought that would be it, that I would just, like, drop some kind of, like, fucking earth-shattering, life-changing graphic novel.
I used to think that I could actually be a millionaire by 21. It's like, all I have to do is do this, and it's going to be good, and people are going to jump on it, but, like, wrong. Wrong.
Right, yeah, but, you know, like, it eventually kind of evolved as I kind of faced the ugly realities of adulthood and started, like, just dealing with like, that aspect of life, that it was like, you know, if somebody can look at me and say, you know, I read your book or I listened to your podcast or whatever, and it made my day a little bit better, that, to me, would be, like, really, really cool. And that would, like, give me such a sense of fulfillment.
You know, as a writer, when people say, you know, well, what do you want to do? You know, what makes you want to be a writer? You know,
Right.
well, I'll tell you, and you and I have had these kind of conversations. You and I have gotten really, really deep in some conversations, but we talked about it, and I've talked about, you know, as a writer, where I really haven't found the audience that I want. And some people are like,
you have
well,
found the audience you deserve.
yeah. I haven't really found the audience that I want, and some people are like, well, you know, who are you writing for? You writing for them? You writing for you? Well, the thing is, I'm writing for both.
Right, yeah.
You know, and I have tried it. I've tried numerous times to quit writing, and I can't. I can't. I can't let it go. Even when I said, you know, I'm not. It's like I said, I'm not. I'm just gonna devote my time to something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really is like a Godfather 3 thing. It was like every time I try to get out, they pull me back in.
Yeah.
Something will inspire an idea. Something will you know, be like, oh, hey, yeah, I'll see a movie and I'm like, that should have ended a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I'll see something like, who the fuck made this movie? Right? What? I can't get it. But, you know, my book done, but you can make this piece of shit?
Well, you mean like Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong?
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, exactly.
Holy shit, Gary Busey's in this?
Well, Gary Busey needs a job, you know. I mean, I'm saying this guy probably goes through, like, I don't know, $200 a year, I mean, a month in toothpaste. So, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, we have talked about that, and I think we've talked about it. I think we have talked about it, at least on the gameplay stuff. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but, like, we can't turn this off. I can't just decide not to be an artist. And, you know, that, and, you know, you mentioned, people will ask you, you know, like, why you want to be a writer, stuff like that. And, like, I've tried to shy away from statements like that in recent years of, you know, I don't tell people I want to be an artist. I tell people I am an artist. It's like, I create, I do put out this content. And no, I'm not doing it professionally yet. I consider the both of us, like, semi-professional in that, you know, we are selling books, we are making some money off of this.
And we're building a name.
Right. So, I mean, I consider us, like, semi-pro, but no, we're not making a living off of this quite yet. But, like, I do try to shy away from telling people, oh, you know, I want to be an artist. It's like, no, I am an artist. I do create.
Well, yeah, in that same fashion, I am a writer, but
Yeah,
I guess what I was more saying is, like, why do I want to be a writer?
Right.
And I'll tell you, it was like, why? It's like, can't you write for yourself? Like, no, I can't write for myself. If I'm writing for myself, I don't need to write it. It's already. I already know what the story is.
Right.
You know, I don't really even need all the little bits to be filled in for me because I know it.
Right. Yeah.
So no, I don't need to actually put it on paper to be able to write for myself.
Yeah.
What I want is to elicit in people the same feeling that I get when I see a good movie, when I read a good book.
Yeah.
And some of it is, I'm going to say, a little, not necessarily ego-driven, but some of it is very selfish, whereas, like, you know, I want kind of that pleasure from it, but really I want to share that. I want to bring that same kind of enjoyment, entertainment to someone like it's been brought to me.
Yeah, exactly. Which ties in with what I was saying, that like just to be able to make people's day a little bit better. You know, I mean, we might not be able to make them look at their situation and go, you know what, life's going to be okay. But to be able to say, you know what, this was a good book. I enjoyed reading this, or I enjoyed seeing this. That one little moment of that took my mind off of some shit for a while. That's huge, and I know what that means to have that kind of thing in my life. You know?
No, I agree.
I mean, like, and I've tried so hard to explain that, and I always choke up with the artists that I try to explain that to. But guys like Chris Schweitzer, guys like Stan Sakai, because I tried to explain that to Stan Sakai when I met him at Heroes Con last year. And it was so hard to try to get all those words out within a reasonable amount of time that I just wound up like kind of babbling like an idiot. But it's like, yeah, no, I mean, just like that presence in my life is such an important thing to be able to see this work, and it's like that shuts out the crappiness of life for just a little bit, and I think that's so important.
It really is. I know it's just supposed to be like your time to talk, but it's like I said, being a creator, I've tried to stop it, and it's there, and I can't turn it off, and it's always going to be there. So the thing is, now I say I'm going to, I guess, choose when I'm going to allow that part of my life to really kind of take over my time, and when I'm going to be like, okay, yes, I have to do this, but I don't have to get into that need constantly. I can say, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna give into it right now. I'll kind of just temper that for another time. But it's the stories don't stop, and they're always there, and you just gotta and we want that thing for you and I. We're constantly come up with story ideas, and we want to do, and we find ourselves going, we've got to get this done, we've got to get that done, and so we're going to back burner this, we're going to back burner that. We really want to move on this, but like we can't, not until we get this other thing done.
Right.
But it's we do a lot.
We've got a lot of irons in the fire. Some would probably say we have too many irons in the fire, but it's like it's a compulsion.
It really is.
We really don't have control over it. And I remember like several times wrestling with the idea of just like walking away from it too, because who was it who said it? That like comics will destroy your life. They'll consume you. That might have been Bill Watterson. Bill Watterson or Art Spiegelman. I know that's a big like divorce of who could have said that, but somebody, some artist who I greatly admire said that.
Jim Davis.
No, fuck him. Fuck Jim Davis, man. No, it was an artist, not a marketer. No, there was. Oh man, who was it? God damn it. Okay, Doug TenNapel quoted it. I'll say that. Doug TenNapel like cited this artist. But,
Bill Keane.
No, God, no. Like that was the statement. That was that comics will consume your life, and it's that kind of thing where it's like it takes up a lot of time and a lot of energy, and you do have to be very selective. Of am I going to just not have any social life at all? Am I going to put my friends on the back burner? That's never a good idea.
No, it's not.
It's that kind of thing. But like, I've definitely wrestled with the idea of just walking away from it, because it's like when you've got so much shit going on, and we've got so much stuff going on in our personal lives that we really don't want to air out on the podcast. And there's a lot of like personal stuff going on in the background too. And it's like, yeah, I've considered that, and I remember wrestling with that idea earlier this year of thinking, I'm gonna finish Tario, and then I'm done pursuing this career.
Yeah.
And I remember like thinking, it would be such a relief to just say, I finished this one graphic novel that's like my opus basically, and then I can just fucking forget about it. And that lasted for about a day, and I was like, as much as that would be a relief and take some pressure off of my life, that's not the thing I can shut out. Whatever else winds up getting shut out, I just can't. And like I had to be really, really honest with myself on that.
And I think part of it is with everything else that goes on in our lives, that we tend to look at the thing we do, that our craft, as the stress, when really it's the opposite. That's the thing that we love, that no matter how difficult it is, how challenging it is, it's never something that it drains us.
Yeah.
It's the thing that we enjoy, that we can spend countless. We can go for days without sleeping or eating or whatever. When we're doing that, time just passes by, and we're not even cognizant of it. And when there are challenges, when it is a little more daunting, we take that as as not even a hurdle. It's just the next thing that we have to do. It's just the next phase of it. It's never like a hurdle. It's never an obstacle.
Yeah.
But it's the other stuff that makes that seem like it's a wall.
Right.
And we start to view it differently, and we have to remember, wait a minute, this is the thing I love to do. This is the thing that never is a demand. And it's only for us, it's only as frustrating as we make it. It's the other stuff that actually keeps us from that. That is frustrating.
And it's because, and like we can blame American culture, and we can get all Tyler Durden-y about this, and we probably should, but it's because we're so conditioned to not question the other stuff that's demanding us. And I remember we kind of texted each other about this, that we've both been under a lot of pressure with our day jobs recently.
Yeah.
And you've been working into all hours of the night. I was repairing a printer until 9 o'clock last night. That's just this is what's happening with our day job, is it is just wrecking our shit on our day-to-day life. And I remember texting you saying, we're letting our jobs kill us.
Yeah.
We're letting our day jobs kill us. And to extrapolate on that, it's if I die this weekend, you know what's going to happen in my day job? They're going to hire another printer tech, and they're going to replace me, and that's going to be it. And maybe for a couple of months they'll be like, oh yeah, no, that Acomi, he sure had good numbers, and then they're going to forget about it within a couple of months. It's we're fucking killing ourselves for companies that view us as replaceable.
And I don't really have a problem with my job. I like my job.
Oh yeah, no, I like mine too. That's
I feel respected at my job, at this job, and I do enjoy it. But it's something that I do enjoy doing. But if I had my way, I would be doing something else full time and not that.
Right.
But when I left my old job, I remember. So my whole goal, and I really hate that I couldn't do it, but my whole plan, which I told people several times over, is, when I decide to leave, this place, this company, is I'm gonna be here one day and I'm gonna be gone the next. Don't expect any kind of farewell thing or me walking around. And I was kind of put in a position where I had to do that, and I actually hated it, and I hated the fact that I was kind of forced to do that.
Yeah.
But that was my thing, was to just be gone, be there one day and be gone the next, and that's it. But someone said, well, we're going to miss you. And I said, yeah, you will for a couple days.
Right.
And then you'll forget I was even here, and you'll continue on with your life. And that's exactly what happened. And I wasn't trying to be, all grim about the situation, right, or glib. It was just, it was the truth, because I'd seen it before with other people. Yes, you will. You'd be like, oh, they're not really there anymore, and that's kind of sad. But your life goes on, my life goes on, and after a while, you really are going to just forget that I was ever there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it. So
yeah, but it's just we're conditioned, I guess, largely because of American culture, to just view this as normal or acceptable.
Right.
That it's that's what you're doing with your life, It's you work every day around people who make you tired and who you dislike for the most part, so that you can pay the bills to make it long enough to go to the next the next week. And I feel grateful to have the job that I do. I make good money doing something that I don't totally hate. And, there's not a lot of people who can say that. There's plenty of people my age who are still in food service. And, I feel very, very blessed to have the job that I do. But, yeah, at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like I was put on this earth to share my art with the world. And so every day that I'm not doing that is a day working against the purpose to which I was put on this earth.
And it's like what's the line from Death of a Salesman? It's like, who cares about Willie Loman or whatever? It's like, that's kind of who we are. But so like I said, I enjoy.
This was a lot less about like my likes and dislikes, and more about what drives me as an artist. But yeah, no,
but it's still who we are. But,
yeah.
Let's say you work a job that you don't hate. You enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
You wish that you could be devoting your time to something else, but you never feel like the job that you're doing is a waste of your time. You just wish that you could be doing something else with it. It's nothing that you dread. And I feel the same way. And on that note, I hope that people that do the jobs for these companies that we're about to advertise for feel the same way about your job. Because if you don't enjoy your job in some aspect, and I understand that not everybody has the opportunity to be able to if you don't enjoy your job, quit. Which it's easy enough to say that. Well, if you don't like your job, find something you do like.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't like America, just leave.
It's not as easy as you want to make it out to be. Yes, I know that sounds really great, but so I just hope that for these ads coming up, that the people that are doing those jobs, find some kind of joy and comfort in what they do.
Yeah.
So check them out and support those people.
And we're back.
Yeah.
I would like to work for those companies, I think.
Well,
Possibly.
I think with any company, it really is, you just want to, like what I do, I'm not going to say that oh man, I couldn't see myself doing anything else, but I do take a lot of pride in what I do.
Yeah.
And in my more paying job. I'll say the job that provides me with health benefits. That job, I do enjoy what I do, and I do take a lot of pride in the work that I put to it, and I do approach it with a very strong work ethic. It's
see, I think that's a fair thing to bring up, is the work ethic for both of us as far as who we are, because we have talked about this before. Is that we both take pride in doing good work. And, outside of, the core centrics of our personality being, people who quote movies and cuss a lot, a big thing is that, we take a lot of pride in a job well done.
And I will say that I do know that my coworkers take advantage of me quite a bit. And this is not a joke. My coworkers do take advantage of me, but I also will say that I let them take advantage of me because they know that I can't turn down a challenge.
Right.
And if there's if you find a problem, I'll solve it. Dude, I really tried. There was no way I could say that sentence that didn't come out as...
Yeah. No,
so I'm just going to lean into it. But the thing is, they know that if there's a problem or a challenge, I can't turn it down.
Right.
And they will bring them to me, which does put me a little behind in my work because they know that I will spend hours I'll spend a lot more time on it than I need to until I look and be like, oh shit, it's like 4 o'clock. I've got like 20 other things I need to do here, and I've spent way too much time looking into this than I need to. And I've been oftentimes someone's like, hey, can you take a look at this? This doesn't make sense to me, or I'm not sure this is right. And I'll start looking at it like, this is, oh no, that's not. hey, I'll go ahead and take this. You move into something else. I'll take care of this. And next thing you know, I've got like 20 people's like work on my desk because I can't turn it down.
Yeah, you're that guy, like, the camera cuts over and, like, you're putting the mop back in the bucket and it's like, and that's how I mop the floor. And it's like, wow, I wish I could do it as good as you. Think you could show me that in the kitchen, too? It's like, oh, sure.
Now, those stubborn stains, you gotta... Now, what most people don't know is it doesn't really need that much elbow grease. What you need to do is find a very nice, soft abrasive.
Just big,
like
wide circles. Wide circles.
Like some baking soda. Baking soda will really help cut that, and it washes away and doesn't leave... Yeah, so that's me.
Well, could you show me how you dust? But yeah, no, I mean, because, like, we talked about this on the episode about our least favorite comic artists, is that, neither of us are really content to settle for good enough.
No.
And, like, there's been times that we've had to do it, and there's times that we even have to do it with, like, with our audio stuff and with the podcast or with the videos or whatever, where it's like, it fucking burns my ass to say it, but we'll have to just put this out as it is, and we've had that conversation a number of times. But like we're both very driven to like, no, we don't want to do good enough. We want to do the best work that we can possibly do, and that motivates and drives a lot of our creative endeavors.
And I think that goes to something we were talking about before, off recording, when we do a lot of our podcast recording. I shouldn't say a lot. We've done several episodes in the car while we're driving, normally to cons, sometimes to concerts, but normally to Comic Cons, because we've got that time to in the car, and it's like, hey, let's go ahead and be productive with it.
Yeah.
And those car recordings are not the greatest. We've tried to clean them up as best we can. Get rid of some of the background noise so it's not as bad, but. The thing is, we're just two guys.
Right.
That's really all we're just two guys. We try to be as professional as we can be, but at the same time, we really are just your average, just people.
Yeah, yeah.
And we hope that kind of comes through in some of our stuff, that we're not trying to put ourselves out there as experts on anything. Even when we talk about, this is stuff we like, this is stuff we don't like, or
right,
blah, blah.
Right.
And there are things that we know a great bit about, but we don't know everything. Yeah, and so I don't want to put myself out there as like I'm the Neil deGrasse Tyson of the comic books, right?
God, I don't want to be the Neil deGrasse Tyson of anything.
But I'm, okay. I want to be the Stephen Hawking of comic books, right? But we really are just two guys, and our recordings are not always going to be the most professional. They're not going to be the best studio quality. We're going to make them as good as we can. But it's because we really are just two regular guys that decide, hey, let's do a podcast because we want to talk about these things, and we think there might be people that want to listen to it and hopefully enjoy it. And kind of like the title says, but not really. It's really more of we think we're funny,
right?
And our moms are too polite not to say no, you're not, because they're our moms. They're supposed to support us. Right. But that's just too long of a title. It's like, we think we're funny, and our mom's just really polite and like to support us.
With my D&D group last game session, Overton was like, we hang out, and it seems like we're really funny, but we're probably the only people who really think so. It's like, yeah, that's probably pretty accurate to the podcast too, honestly.
So we have those recordings that are not always the best, but we're not just going to toss anything out there, but we do understand that sometimes they're going to be a little less than what you get from other people. But again, that's because we don't purposely downplay them or downgrade them, but we want people to know that we are really just kind of two regular guys.
Yeah. And I think it is important that, we are career guys, we're working full-time jobs. If we were full-time YouTubers, then I would, never consider the car episodes to be acceptable.
No.
But it's like, well, we're not full-time YouTubers. We're not even, we are hobbyist YouTubers. I mentioned earlier, we're semi-professionals when it comes to our arts. And, as far as being, artists and writers, we're semi-professional. And we do try to, keep that at total 100%, but with YouTube and with podcasting, it's that is in light of doing 40-hour-a-week jobs and at the same time producing books and trying to get multiple books out a year. And it's like, yeah, no, there's only so much we're capable of. And I say that having just preached about how we don't believe in, good enough. We believe in doing the best we possibly can. But I think in this situation, that is the best that we possibly can.
Right.
It's like, do you want 2 podcasts a week done, or do you want every podcast to sound studio quality? Because, we can do one or the other, but we can't do both.
And we're not being we're not getting rich off this. We're not even making an income off this. Maybe in the future might get a couple of dollars or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I'd be satisfied to break even on this.
We do this because we enjoy it.
Yeah, totally.
And we hope that other people do. But that goes back to, we just want to do something that we hope people like. Will bring some kind of like fun into their lives or enjoyment. And if you happen to say like, hey, we think you're funny, we think it's we like your podcast. We don't always laugh every time, but hey, we do enjoy it. Or you guys are this or that. I mean, that's great. I mean, that just tells us that not that it's stroking our ego, but it just tells us that you like what we do and you want more of it, and we'll try to do more of it and hopefully get better as we do it. But yeah. So I think we've kind of touched on a couple things here. We kind of talked about our relationship as as collaborators, what we do, where we come from. And I think we've talked a lot about kind of how we come from, how your upbringing was a little more sheltered.
Yeah,
and
extremely so.
And mine was as well, but not to that extent. So it seems like I'm always introducing you to things, but one of the things we never really talk about on the show is all the things that you introduced me to, because I am you're more into like the internet stuff that I am. So you're like, oh, you don't know about this, you don't know about that, or this guy.
I think it's fair to say you're a Generation X guy and I'm a millennial, so I introduce you a lot to internet culture that Generation X doesn't typically see.
Right.
The dark side of the internet, really.
But even with our comic book love, I come from a very Marvel, DC, and to some extent Image guy, as where you were very much a small press. If you were born in the 80s, you would be a diehard kitchen sink guy.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I fucking love Kitchen Sink.
So,
Kitchen Sink and SLG are like some of my favorite companies to this day.
I would be going to comic book stores. He would be ordering all of his books through the mail.
Yep.
I mean, that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I would never go to like the big time Comic Cons. I would go to like those seedy like bookstores with like 2 coffee tables lined up.
I mean, I'm the guy that met Howard Chaykin at a con, and he drew for free, he drew a bust. He did a head sketch of Wolverine for me on a 2x2 piece of like of Bristol.
Nice.
And after keeping it for a couple years, end up throwing it away, not realizing who it was.
Holy shit,
that had drawn me a Wolverine. Now here's the thing:
Acomi's gonna have to choke a bit.
I would do. Trust me, I'm pissed off at myself for that. But I'm the guy who met Howard Chaykin at a con, who didn't know who he was, and he said, "Who's your favorite hero?" And I said, "Wolverine." The thing is, Wolverine's not my favorite hero. He's never been my favorite hero. I said Wolverine, and Howard Chaykin drew me a picture of Wolverine.
Man.
A headshot of Wolverine. They're like, well, really? But you introduced me to, I wouldn't know who Chris Schweitzer was.
Yeah.
Had it not been for you. I wouldn't even be looking more into the small press books that I have if it wasn't for you. So again, that goes back to our whole what we bring to each other, as far as how we enrich each other. So I think that's good. There was another point that I wanted to bring up, kind of with what we do, and that right now is kind of escaping me.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered a lot of the really important stuff, but like one thing I thought might be more of an interesting thing, I guess, since this is just kind of like getting to know us. And
oh shit, I'm black, by the way.
But we are brothers. It's like Money Train.
Yeah, it is.
But no, I'm just thinking like maybe some just basic likes and dislikes, because people know we like movies, they know we like comics, they know we like music, but we haven't gone into a lot of specifics with that. So I wonder, if we should just like maybe go over just some like not in like extensive detail, but just like for instance, yeah, we like movies, but in particular we like stuff directed by Tarantino.
I do love Tarantino.
Yeah, I know you're huge on Tarantino. I love Tarantino. I've never seen a Tarantino movie I don't like, but you can just like recite all of his movies by heart. Tarantino is basically your Bible.
Yeah, Tarantino. I love Robert Rodriguez.
Yep.
Ridley Scott, Tony Scott, Scorsese I mentioned before.
Yep.
Scorsese is fantastic.
I'll watch anything with Nicolas Cage in it, no matter how bad it is. And like we had an entire episode dedicated to that, but
yes.
like
So funny story is after I don't know, I'm not gonna assume that we did it first or whatever. I just thought it was a funny coincidence that we dropped our Nicolas Cage podcast episode called Cage Match.
Yeah.
And I didn't look and see when it came out, but AVGN has a Nicolas Cage video, and I forget what two movies that they are kind of like comparing, and it's called Cage Match. And I was like, oh, great minds.
Nice. I would love to do a show with James Rolfe.
James Rolfe is really funny.
He's one of the best internet celebrities. He's like one of the only internet celebrities I know who has managed to totally avoid all internet drama.
Yeah, there was a video I was watching where he talked about his whole Ghostbusters kind of scandal thing.
Yeah.
And the guy went and broke it down and said, hey, this is how he handled it, and this is what he said, and he didn't say what people, attributed to him. Yeah. He never made those comments. He just said this, and then when people were like, hey, how dare you? He just like let it go. He was just like, yeah, I'm not going to engage in this because one, I know what I said, know what I didn't say, and I'm not going to continue to fuel this fire. Yeah,
no, he handled it very, very gracefully, and it wound up being such a non-issue that it's barely even a drop in the bucket. But yeah, so that's definitely a thing. Yeah.
Acomi,
sir.
I just remember what I wanted to talk about. The other thing.
All right.
It was Acomi.
Oh no!
Who is driving? Bear's driving. Oh no! See, that's what you say. Oh no! In the way you said it, that's what it makes me think of.
That's why I said it. Oh no, Tom Cruise!
You can't handle the truth. Oh no! So the names.
Oh yeah, we do have to talk about the names.
We do have to talk about the names. Acomi and Turk 182, and J.O. Bowyer, Zol 225, Wallcrawler 1. It's like why with the names?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a couple different reasons. First off, when we first started doing this, it was Acomi and I have been friends for a couple years. Oh, and I didn't know that you actually had a Let's Play on YouTube. And I had been thinking about doing a Let's Play. Didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew what to do one, but I didn't really know the whole culture that was already out there.
Yeah. And I'd been researching it pretty crazily up until that point.
And so you mentioned, you did it. I was like, I've been thinking about doing it, and you graciously like, hey, maybe we can do it together. And you were doing your PC games.
Yep.
Of course, I had a console, so I was like, yeah, we can probably maybe do that. And under your YouTube channel, you had the name Acomi.
Yeah.
And that's what you went by. So I was like, hey,
Yeah, that's been like my handle since I was like 19.
And so I was like, well, hey, maybe just for anonymity's sake, right? Because, sometimes I do say some outlandish shit, right? But no, for anonymity's sake, I was like, I'll adopt a name too. Why not? It'd just be, it's just like everybody else. Just like, well, I dare say that Markiplier's name is probably Mark Plier or Marka and then Plier, right? He could be like foreign. His name could be Marka. I don't know.
His full name is Mark Fishbach, but yeah.
See, there you go. Well, yeah, Markiplier is much better.
Yeah. Yeah, his mom is Korean, his dad is German, so wow. It's quite a combination.
And I know that I like how her throat is already cut before she's moving the knife across it.
Pre-cut throat.
and like Jacksepticeye, that really his name is Jacksepticeye. If you look in the phone book, you will find Jacksepticeye at 867-5309.
Yeah, his full name is Jackson Phyllis Septiceye. Yeah.
So there you go. But I was like, okay, yeah, I'll find out. But everyone kind of has a handle, a name. Like I watch videos by Legacy Killer.
Yeah.
Mainly around Fallout stuff, and right now he's been really just fucking hammering Bethesda like Van Helsing to Dracula, just like I'm driving his stake in fucking deep, dude. But I mean, his name is not Legacy Killer, but he just has a name. So I was like, let me come up with a name too, and I picked Turk 182 because I was like, what can I come up with? This is kind of interesting, and I was like, hey, I remember liking that movie. And I'm sure no one else even remembers that movie. I think Robert Urich is in it. He doesn't even remember that movie. We met Robert Urich at a con, and I was like, dude, it was like, I run a channel. I call myself Turk 182 after he's like, what? I was like, you were in a movie. And I pull up IMDb, it's like, wow. And I was like, no, I've never met Robert Urich. But no, it's like,
man, I don't remember being in that movie.
I was about to make a really bad joke. I was like, at first I gotta call myself Frankie Muniz because he doesn't even remember he's Frankie Muniz. Oh man, that's so wrong of me. And I actually like Frankie Muniz. I mean, I don't have anything against him.
I want to get Frankie Muniz on the show.
There was I can't think of the name of that horror movie he was in. Stay Alive, I think it was.
No, that's the Bee Gees song.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that's Staying Alive.
Oh,
this is just Stay Alive.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So this is telling you what to do. The other one's telling you how to do it.
the process.
This is what I'm doing right now. The other one's like, hey, do this. But Stay Alive, the one with the Lady Bathory or whatever, the Bathory Witch or whatever. It was okay. It wasn't great, but I really wanted him to live in the movie. Spoiler, does he? No, he doesn't. Shit, I don't know. I haven't seen it once. But anyway, so I don't mean to make plight.
And speaking of 8675309.
Oh yeah, shit, there it is right there on the thing.
God. Okay.
Wow, that was fortuitous.
If that's what you want to call it.
But I don't mean to kind of make light of his situation. That really is kind of sad. If I had severe memory issues like that would be heartbreaking. Well, it would be heartbreaking, right now. But then in 5 minutes, I wouldn't even remember it all. Jeez, I can't stop. I can't. Once I start being an ass, once I start letting people know that I'm an ass, I can't turn it off. It's like, open the door now.
Once those true colors start to shine,
it's like, fuck your feelings, fuck your feelings. Yeah, I remember why would I hurt his feelings on purpose? I wouldn't. Yeah, I remember hurting his feelings. So anyway, I was like, no one's gonna remember Turk 182, right? That movie, and there actually is.
Apparently, that one fucker on Twitter does.
Yeah, that one guy. That one guy. It's like, wait, who's already got the handle? That one guy. So so that's why I had to be Turk182_KE because someone else was like, hey, I'm gonna take this.
So your name comes from the movie, which I've never seen the movie, which, oh shocker, a movie Acomi hasn't seen.
Oh, clutch the pearls.
So my name was actually a Star Wars name thing that I saw on a forum. And I don't even think that it's still out there. But
this bitch is sweeping her house in high heels.
What is this, Tom and Jerry?
Thomas!
Thomas is a mouse! Get the mouse, Thomas! But yeah, no, I mean that's pretty much all that was I did this little Star Wars character name generation and got Acomi, which I thought was a very Star Warsy name. And at the time, I just used it for
hey, what'd you wave your hand like that for? You think you're some kind of Jedi?
Well, I did it, my nephew was coming over. I was babysitting my nephew for the weekends, and he was really into Star Wars at the time. So I was like, hey, we can we can both like use this little Star Wars thing, come up with names, and that way that can be our characters while we like role play this game basically. So I got Acomi, and I wound up like sticking with that. Like before we settled on Zombie Punk as our comic publishing imprint, I just used Acomi Studios for a long time, and of course nowadays I use Acomi Draws as my big art thing. So it's always been like a really central factor. And I mean, as you know, there was a lot of like personal stuff going on behind that, and I actually had to consider, do I want to stick with Acomi as my internet handle? Because of that, it's too much to really go into here. But like, it tied into a lot of like my upbringing and stuff.
I think it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
For the point of the podcast.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into like details with it, but essentially, you know,
she's fucking scrubbing rocks with a sponge.
Yeah, she is.
She's scrubbing rocks.
She is, but yeah. So I mean,
God, she's a natural. No, I was about to.
But yeah, no,
I try
like
so hard not to be sexist.
I had to at least like wrestle with that. I know we had that discussion. I just because of like the association with that, but you know, I wound up keeping the name, and actually did some research. Like apparently there's like some Japanese connection to the name too. Like I think like Ako means like beautiful and mi means music or something like that, if I'm remembering right. I did some like googling on it. So there's workarounds to it.
I tell you, I looked at the name Acomi, and he goes, "It means you're a prince. I'm a certified prince." You hear that, Barf?
But yeah. So no, it's like it's really not super different from like what Donald Glover did with Childish Gambino. Basically, I used some internet generator, and here I am. I'm Acomi.
Yeah. He used the Wu-Tang generator.
Yeah.
I used to put the Wu-Tang generator, and no matter how many times or whatever name I put in, I just kept getting punk bitch, and so I just quit. I was like,
I actually found the exact generator he did and ran my name through it. I got Irate Warrior, which I really like.
Irate Warrior is good,
and if it didn't involve like having to change everything about the channel and the business cards and all that, then I would probably just adopt Irate Warrior.
You should actually just change your name to Irate Warrior.
Oh, yeah. No, name changing is easier than you might think from a legal perspective, but it's also a pain in the ass because it's like everything.
Like, plus, if you did change your name to Irate Warrior, what would happen is I would call you up to see if you were free for the weekend, and I would be like, "Irate Warrior, come out to play." Oh, so Irate Warrior, yes, go on.
But yeah, no, that's it. It's a cool name.
So yeah, I picked mine, and you know, it's just something fun to do and be Turk 182, and actually I like being Turk 182.
Yeah.
It's cool, and sometimes people get it like, wait, wasn't that a movie? I'm like, yes, it was. And then we were just like, hey, if you're gonna come on the show, you can use your real name if you want to, but you know, if you just want to have a name, and I think
it
just
fit in with the cool kids.
That's right. Yes.
Use a handle.
It's like everybody that's cool pees their pants and has a nickname. So it's just one thing where like, hey, if you come on the show, pick a name. Just pick a nickname, and you know, it's a show name. That's really what it is. Yeah. It's not like, you know, like we're trying to. Everyone's got to have a, you know. Like we're all trying to be something special.
Everybody uses a nickname. It's the coolest.
Yeah, it's like J.O. Bowyer said. I've had this name. I've been J.O. Bowyer for X amount of years.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Didn't he say like 95?
Yeah, something like that. So he's like, that's just who I've been.
So like you've got that, and you've got me with like I've been using Acomi since I was a teenager, and but then you also have like Leroy, where he's like, I'm not going to use a nickname, and then we hit record, and he's like, this is Leroy Harry Strongfeet, and it's like, okay.
There you go.
Whatever, dude, that was awesome.
And then, of course, I've got my channel name is Turk182, but then I've got my name, Brodicus Stonebreaker,
right.
Which is just, you know, I heard that was like, Brodicus. Oh my god, I like that name. I don't know why. It just sounds like Brodicus. That is my name. It's like, Brodicus is my name, no one else is the same. Brodicus is my name, Brodicus. So, but yeah, it was just something I was like, okay, and now I think it's just, it's part of the channel. You come on the channel, you can use your real name if you want to, but pick a name.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like Captain Aperture, Captain Analog Aperture. You know, it's like that's his. I think that's his like one of his like game names or whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna get. And look, hey, it works.
I think most, not all, but most of the people who come on the show, it's like their internet handle or their gaming name or something like that. But,
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like, I know Leroy and Wallcrawler, he came up with his on the fly, too.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not anything set in stone, and really, it's not even, like, critically important. It's like we said at the beginning of this, it's not like this is a personality that we put on. You know, it's not like I'm playing Acomi as a character, that's just who I am. I just am Acomi. So
yeah, so that's kind of us. I really didn't expect this to go on that long.
yeah.
I thought it was like, oh, we'll just pop in here, be like a quick 30 seconds, we'll take 15 minutes and just, you know, bada bing bam boom.
Dude, we don't know how to be brief. We don't have brevity here.
No.
We've been going for an hour and a half.
Holy shit,
Yeah,
dude.
man. So
I apologize, people. This was not the intent. Yeah.
well, I think this
The
has
best
been
laid
pretty
plans
good.
of mice and men, George.
I want you to look out there. I want you to tell me about the rabbits.
Tell me again how you got the name Acomi, George.
Shoots in back of head. But no, I think this has been good. I've actually really enjoyed this. This is just, you know, it's kind of chill. It kind of harkens back to the older episodes where we would just have like non-topic episodes of just kind of shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's good to go back to every once in a while. You know, never forget who you are. So we talked a bit specifics about like the kind of movies we like, and dropped some names as far as specifically some of that stuff.
I kind of dropped more names, I think, than you
Well,
did.
yeah, but that's fair because you've seen a lot more movies. And I would rattle off a lot of the same names that you did as far as that goes.
And I mean, I could go on, like, because I didn't mention David Fincher before,
Yeah,
right?
didn't mention David Fincher, and we've mentioned like in numerous other things what some of our favorite films are.
Right.
Because like, you know, Fight Club, obviously. I mean, that's easily my favorite movie. Number one. We both love Scott Pilgrim.
Edgar Wright is a fantastic writer-director.
We love Clockwork Orange.
Yep.
We both think
Stanley
that's
Kubrick is amazing, too.
I mean, that's where we get the name Korova Entertainment from, and also that's where a lot of our motif is with drawing our characters dressed up as droogs.
Which we do understand that we're not celebrating droogs, but it's just something that, for whatever reason, it draws us in.
We're not? Oh, shit. Give me a second. I gotta change some stuff on Twitter.
Well, my tattoo will be finished tomorrow.
Yeah, hey, Frank, that appointment I had set up with, like, droogs are okay and everything they did was alright. Yeah, can we cancel that appointment? Yeah. Gotta rethink this. So, what else? I'm personally a huge fan of Old Boy. That's one of my favorite movies, and I know you really enjoyed it. I don't know if you're quite as obsessed with it as I am.
No, but that goes back to you being such a big Spike Lee fan.
Oh, fuck Spike Lee. No, the original Korean Old Boy, for those wondering. Don't even bother with the Spike Lee remake. Although I still want us to do a Let's Watch of it just to see if it's as bad as everybody says.
Oh, God. So,
But,
I think this goes without saying, but I do want to point out that Acomi and I bait each other constantly. It's just one of the things that we do, that we bring out the best / worst of each other. So the blurst of each other.
The blurs.
Yes. That unlike like awfulsome, the blurst is not a word that I created. That was created by maybe it was like The Simpsons, I think, or somebody. But awfulsome, that's mine. Awfulsome is mine. I created that.
We do need to make a T-shirt design with awfulsome on it.
Yes.
While the iron's still hot.
Yeah. But yeah, blurst is what we do. We bring out the best / worst of each other because we do often like just bait and and just screw with each other, and it's
You
fun.
could say that we're masters at it. Honestly.
We are. We are master blursters. you thought I was gonna, yeah.
No, but it is funny that you say that like we bait each other and all that, because you've mentioned that like we'll have some guests on who really don't understand our dynamic, and like we'll say something, one of us will be like, man, fuck you. And the person will just, like, look really shocked. And I know that happened with Wallcrawler. Like,
when we did the soundtrack one, and you started, and I just jumped in with the Kanye, I'm gonna let you finish. She was like, oh, come on.
Right.
You don't get it.
yeah. So, no, that's, like... That's a huge part of our dynamic is, like, we just kind of verbally abuse each other, but it's our way of showing affection. So, and I think I'm more prone to it than you are. We'll just be like, man, fuck you.
When I make you do that, that's... like in our least favorite comic book artist, when I said Bill Keane, and you're like, fuck Bill Keane. It was just so genuine. Like, you could feel the ire in your voice. Fuck Bill Keane. I'm like, shit, dude, all he ever did was make wholesome comics.
Draw that fucking dotted line on the ground. Fuck Bill Keane, man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, yeah, no, shit. I mean, we're fans of, like, the really obvious stuff that you would expect to. Like, we love the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I think we're a little bit more gracious towards DC films than a lot of people are.
Right.
But
and I will admit that a lot of that comes from my love of Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
and I know
yeah.
a lot of people hate Zack Snyder. Like, he's a horrible director, and I beg to differ. And we can debate over this, not argue, but we can debate over this. But I think it's one thing to note is that when you're going to look at someone, right, look at what they've been allowed to do, not what they've been forced to do.
Right.
So we were talking earlier when J.O. Bowyer was on there. We mentioned Alien 3 and David Fincher. So you take a look at, like, Zodiac, David Fincher, Fight Club, David Fincher, right? Those are completely different than Alien 3, David Fincher.
Yeah.
Right? So it's what a person is allowed to do and show what they can do versus what you're making them do. Mm-hmm. And I think you do the same thing with Zack Snyder, which is you look at 300, you look at the Dawn of the Dead remake. You know, like, here, this is what he's capable of doing. This is what he can do when you let him.
Yeah.
You look at Batman vs Superman. It has some strength, but it also has been kind of like it suffers from, death of 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. The studio really did some harm to that, but I enjoyed Batman vs Superman.
But my defense of the DC universe, I think a lot of that is rooted in my love of Zack Snyder.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair. I really enjoy Zack Snyder. So, what else? We've talked, like, the specifics of the comic thing to death. You're definitely a Marvel and DC guy. I'm definitely an indie guy.
Music.
Music, yeah. So, that we can talk a bit about. I really gravitate towards the 80s. Pretty much anything from the 80s. I'll just as quickly listen to a Juice Newton song as I will, like, an Aerosmith song.
I'm not a Juice Newton, but my favorite, one of my favorite '80s bands is Def Leppard, which we got to see in concert, which was fantastic.
I love Def Leppard.
I'm still waiting on. So my three '80s bands that really define the '80s for me are Def Leppard, Duran Duran, and Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh yeah. That's a good selection.
So I have two more bands that I need to see, and of course we just recently got the chance to see Phil Collins.
Yep.
Because even though he hit his stride, he personally hit his stride in the 80s, but because Genesis really kind of came to the forefront in the 80s, you can technically call them an 80s band even though they started in the 70s. But then if you're going to do that, then you also have to extend that same kind of latitude to Peter Gabriel.
Right. I like Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, I do too. So the 80s music is I love 80s music. I really do.
I think I'm more likely to listen to 80s music than, like, pretty much anything else.
And of course, I love my rock. I was able to. I don't know if I really turned you on to it, if I just kind of made it accessible to you where you didn't really have it before. But Stone Temple Pilots and Scott Weiland.
Oh yeah.
Love me.
No, I think it's fair to say you turned me on to that.
So
just because I never knew that was a thing, and that was life-changing music right there.
Yeah, Stone Temple Pilots. Scott Weiland solo stuff, Velvet Revolver, really good.
Very, very good. And
Scott Weiland, the Wild Boys, what is it called? It's good. It's not great.
yeah, I'm not as familiar with that one, but
There's that. It was like the last CD he did, kind of his solo thing after he broke up with STP. Again, but yeah, love Scott Weiland.
Foo Fighters.
Love Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl is just freaking amazing.
He's incredible, yeah, and seems like a really genuine, nice guy too.
Yeah. Jack White. So Jack White, solo artist, the White Stripes, the Raconteurs.
The Raconteurs.
Oh yeah, Raconteurs, and Dead Weather. I mean, which are all Jack White bands ish. Yeah. Love. We mentioned Foo Fighters, so Dave Grohl,
Yep.
them Crooked Vultures. I'm just gonna say this right now. If Dave or Josh Homme ever hears this, I want another Them Crooked Vultures album. That is an awesome album. I love that. That's so good.
God, I would die if Dave Grohl listened to the podcast.
David Bowie. Love David Bowie.
Oh man, Bowie's so good, so good. Yeah. I do like my schlocky comedy stuff though. I mean, I'm a big Weird Al fan. Love Lonely Island.
Ninja Sex Party.
NSP, yeah, I love NSP, and what's funny about that is even though they're a comedy band, I really like their covers. Their cover stuff of 80s songs are fantastic. That I would recommend as an introduction point for anybody like curious about the band. Would be like listen through the album Under the Covers volumes 1 and 2. So good.
We had the opportunity to go see Bare Naked Ladies, and I couldn't do it because they were opening for Hootie and the Blowfish, who I absolutely cannot stand. And even though we're like, well, we'll just pay to see them, they're the opening band, and we'll leave.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, but I'm still paying to go see Hootie and the Blowfish, whether I actually see them or not.
They'll still see that money. Yeah.
Right. I'm still paying to see them. I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I'm sorry, there's no way under God's green, brown, yellow, whatever, even colors of the spectrum, I can't see with my naked eye that B&L should be opening up a fucking Hootie and the Blowfish.
Beck. We're both big fans of Beck. Beck is amazing.
And of course, I dig the Flaming Lips.
Flaming Lips are really good. Black Keys, they're really good.
Like the Black Keys.
Gorillas.
Oh yeah, Gorillas are amazing.
Ben Folds. I love Ben Folds.
I like Ben Folds. I do. I get a lot of shit from this from some people, but I love Chicago.
Oh, Chicago's awesome. Are you kidding me?
I love Chicago.
Who gives you shit for that? I'll kill him.
Well, you know, there's a certain person that comes to the cons all the time,
Oh.
and they bring their they bring their son. They always want to give me shit about Chicago, but then again, their favorite band is Kiss. You know?
Oh well,
so,
I mean, I listened to some Kiss, but no, Chicago's the shit.
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I mean, yeah, Kiss does their thing or whatever, but no, Chicago.
Like, Inspiration, that was like the song for the best relationship I was ever in. So, yeah, no, I love Chicago. They're great.
You know, if we're talking like kind of old school, I love the Rolling Stones too.
Mm-hmm. Stones are great,
and Led Zeppelin. I like the Doobie Brothers, and all
I know from the Doobie Brothers is China Grove, but I really like the song.
Oh, Jesus is Just All Right With Me.
I don't think I know. I think I've heard that one.
Yeah, but yeah, Doobie Brothers is great. And I asked somebody the other day, I was like, which do you prefer, the Doobie Brothers pre-Michael McDonald or post-Michael McDonald? And they were like, probably post-Michael McDonald. I was like, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
You know, completely different sound, but I do like Michael McDonald. I know. Okay. And so, but I like Michael McDonald's.
So here's an area where we diverge: is that you don't like the band Rush.
Oh,
I kind of like Rush. I don't like the lead singer's voice, but I like their instrumentation. I like their lyrics. I enjoy listening to Rush. And it's kind of
time so he gets high on you, but the spacey evades getting high on you.
I like YYZ, and that's it.
He sounds an awful lot like hard Debbie Harry, but yeah, no, I really like it. I like.
He actually sounds like a soft Debbie Harry, and she sounds like a hard Rush.
Pretty much.
She's like, if Geddy Lee were a man, that's what Blondie sounds like.
But no, like,
fucking say something, Geddy Lee. Yeah, you're not. You know why? Because you're gonna fucking apologize for being mean to me because you're Canadian. You'd be like, hey, I don't appreciate that, you asshole. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you an asshole. That's a year's supply of syrup and Molson's. Here's 2 tickets to a hockey game, eh?
yeah, no, I mean, like, shit, like Madrigal, that's a really nice song. I like that. I like Limelight. I think Limelight's a really good song. So yeah, so that's probably like really the only area musically where we diverge. Well, I don't know, because I'm also a fan of AC/DC, and you're not huge on them, are you?
I'm okay on AC/DC.
That's a broad blanket area where we diverge, is that I'm kind of a metal guy and you're not.
I am not really a metal guy.
So I really like heavy metal, and it's pretty rare that I'll go something as hard as like Cannibal Corpse, but I mean I'll even listen to them. But I mean I like
I only listen to Cannibal Corpse when I have to go to a funeral, and I just need something that's gonna make me feel better about myself and my life, and put it all in perspective. So I'll listen to some Cannibal Corpse. And
go, it's Cradle of Filth. Got me through some dark times. But yeah, no, like I love metal, and it's definitely mood music for me. Like I've got to be in the right mindset to really like benefit from listening to it. But no, I really dig it.
And I love jazz.
Jazz, oh yeah.
I prefer more old school jazz. Not that the newer jazz artists can't do it for me, but when I think of jazz, I immediately go old school.
Yeah.
You know? And I love Stan Getz.
Stan Getz is good.
I love Astrid Gilberto's voice.
Oh yeah, I like Gilberto a lot.
Oh god, I mean, people always say that the Frank Sinatra "Fly Me to the Moon" is like, no. She kills "Fly Me to the Moon." Her voice on that just,
So if we're going that old school, then like blues, the blues are great.
See, I can't really get into the blues, man. I mean, I think that the closest I get to the blues is probably going to be some of the more soulful, like Black Keys.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, my introduction to the blues was from the Blues Brothers, which...
Right.
I mean, you can say that's schlocky, but at the same time that's fair, because that was also John Belushi's introduction to the blues, so,
the songs in the Blues Brothers I do like, but a lot of the blues I can't really get into. My mom's a blues fan, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's cool.
Well, like, the majority of what the Blues Brothers do is soul and not blues.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying, I like soul.
Yeah, you're a soul man.
But well, I mean, I'm black. Yeah, reminder. So
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But no, I mean they do some blues, and like shit. I'm trying to think. Like Guilty. John Belushi does a really nice cover of Guilty. That's good. But like that did introduce me into some of the classic blues stuff, and there's some really nice stuff out there. Like Otha Turner, I really like him.
I'm sorry,
B.B. King.
I hate to interrupt you right now, but I just checking since we were talking, I'm just checking my email because I haven't checked my email all day.
Yeah.
And I have an email from my health insurance provider, and the subject line says, "What does buying lotion and getting a flu shot?" And I'm going to read the rest of it here. Have in common. And the first thing that popped in mind is, what is buying lotion and getting a flu shot have? And I'm like, it gets the hose again. I mean,
put the fucking lotion in the basket!
Don't you fucking hurt my dog! Sorry, I didn't mean to take us way off topic.
That is A-okay.
But you were saying, you said that B.B. King?
Yeah, no, I like B.B. King.
Johnny Walker?
I love... Oh, no, not Johnny Walker. No, I'm thinking Johnny Lang. I love Johnny Lang.
Yeah.
Johnny Lang is incredible. I discovered Johnny Lang from an album that I found in Goodwill. I was like, I had a kick for about a year where I would just go into Goodwill and buy any CD that looked interesting. And you buy a lot of shit that way, but you discover some cool stuff too. Like I discovered a band called Two Tongues that did a self-titled album that's just like really good rock from... I want to say like early 90s, but that was how I discovered Johnny Lang, and it was an album called Walk the World or Walk This World, and it's just incredible. Just good, solid blues all throughout.
Nice.
And he does not look like he would have the kind of voice he does. Because, like, he looks way younger than he is. So, it was like a very pleasant surprise all the way through.
Oh, here we go. Stax actually introduced me to one of the good things that Stax did outside of introducing me to Fallout, the game that actually took years off my life because I'm still playing that game. But one of the things that he introduced me was introduce me to the band Phoenix.
Okay.
And I love Phoenix.
We've talked about them. I still haven't got to listen to this
Really?
stuff.
Phoenix is fantastic. But Phoenix and Broken Bells. And then from Phoenix, I discovered a band called Two Door Cinema Club, which I really like. It was actually another guy we used to hang out with. He's the one that actually introduced me to the Black Keys because he was going to see the Black Keys and the Flaming Lips were opening for them. I'm like, hey, I want to see Flaming Lips again. I'm going to pay to see them.
Yeah.
So,
another big one for me, and it's another Canadian band, and I keep promising I'll send you their stuff, and I never do, but Sloan.
Sloan?
Yeah, I really like the band Sloan. And for those who don't know, they're an indie group. They have, there's 4 members in the band, each member is a songwriter. So they have a huge variety of stuff that they do, because each person has a very different approach to the songs they write. But they've got some just, really good indie stuff, like Underwhelmed, and, what else? Coax Me, that's a really good song. But they also have stuff that's just, a tribute to certain time periods, so they have one called, Unkind, and it's an 80s song. I was listening to it on shuffle, and, I was halfway through the song before I was like, oh shit, this is Sloan. This isn't some 80s song that I hadn't heard before.
Oh, nice.
It's Sloan. I mean, it's that good. And they have one that, is a 60s tribute called Everything You've Done Wrong. It's, all brass instrumentation and stuff. I love Sloan. I'm a huge fan of them.
That's cool. I've never heard of them. So, yeah. I think I've heard of them. I just haven't heard them.
Yeah, no. We've talked about them, and I'm always like, I'll send you some stuff through your YouTube links, and then I never do because I'm a bad friend. But yeah, no, I can't recommend Sloan highly enough. If you like indie music at all, just definitely give them a go.
I love Radiohead.
Oh yeah, Radiohead's good.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to music, we could just go on and on.
Oh yeah. We both have very, very broad tastes, I think.
And I mean, I love White Zombie with a little bit of Rob Zombie because a lot of Rob Zombie's solo stuff is not as strong as his White Zombie stuff.
Yeah.
But I do like that.
Alice Cooper.
I'm not really a big Alice Cooper fan,
Really?
but anyway,
I like Feed My Frankenstein. He's actually coming to our area in November.
I saw that.
I don't know if I'm gonna get tickets or not, but I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw he's gonna be coming, so I was like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, like I said, I could just go on and on with that. When J.O. Billy was here, I mentioned Aerosmith, which I do like Aerosmith. There's quite a few bands I like, and when it comes to rap, you mentioned Childish Gambino.
Yep.
And Run the Jewels.
Mm-hmm. Run the Jewels is great.
Yeah. So I mean, we could talk about that quite a bit.
And of course, we can always talk about the fabulous, the most groovy,
Bell Bottoms. So yeah, with the music and stuff, there's all kinds of.
Oh shit! I didn't even mention Baby Driver on my list of movies.
Well, because of the soundtrack, I think that we pretty much covered that.
Yeah, we did. I fawned over that quite extensively.
But yeah, that's kind of who we are and where we come from, and what we're all about. I think we in our podcast that I'm not sure if it'll air before this one or not. I don't think it will. It'll probably air after this one. But when we did our podcast with the Choose Your Own Adventure reading, I'm a big Choose Your Own Adventure fan. I have a huge collection of Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Mm-hmm.
That's
another thing about us, and we're about 2 hours in, so we can't really talk about this extensively. But we are both big readers.
Yeah,
we both love reading, be it graphic novels or prose or whatever. You've got a few authors who you have talked about pretty extensively in the past. I'm a big fan of Murakami. I really dig Murakami's work. Like, that would probably be my go-to favorite author. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else who, like, really jumps out. He's definitely, like, the first thing that comes to mind as far as just, like, an author I'm gonna, like, gravitate towards every time.
Right. You see, I've got quite a few. Like I said, I've talked about the wildcard novels quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to writers, like I like Elmore Leonard, Stephen Barnes, who wrote Street Lethal and Gorgon Child and a couple movies books like that I read like years ago. There's a lot of there's a sorry the movie distracted me here because the guy stabbed the girl with a knife and he pulled the knife out and the knife had no blood on it. He gives the other girl a knife and he pulls out a brand new knife, but the knife only has blood on one side of the blade. I'm like, how did you cut somebody and only get blood on one side of the blade? Anyway,
if you haven't been paying attention, it's not a very good movie.
It is not. It gave me a bunch of lies in its description. You know.
Yeah, this has been... Is that the same movie that you read the description for earlier?
Yes.
Holy shit. It's a long movie. Anyway, yeah, so, I mean, we could kill another hour just talking about, like, books and authors that we like.
I don't think that people will probably be that interested in, like, we're barely holding on to this one.
Yeah, no, I think it's just, it's a fair enough thing to say, you know, on top of all the other stuff we mentioned. We are avid readers, and we do an awful lot of reading. So if we're not big enough nerds for you already, there's that. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think that's some like good information on just getting to know us.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys didn't find it like too boring or too much like we're tooting our own horns or anything like that. But yeah, that's just kind of enough to sort of get a feel for who we are. So
I think so.
Yeah. So, one last question, Turk, so people can get to know you. What is your address?
It is 1700 Pennsylvania Avenue, or is that 1500? I don't know. When people when people ask me questions, like when someone's like, "So what's your phone number?" I'm like, "Shit, I don't know. I never call myself." Like, why would I know that?
All right. Well, anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We did run a bit longer on this than we'd intended to, but I think it was good.
Okay. Ask me that question again.
What's your address, Turk?
7 years ago. And that's all I know. I can't say the rest of that stuff because that requires me paying attention in school. And, if I paid attention in school, I'd be owning Anchor and not like just posting bullshit podcasts on it. And I say that with the most affection possible for what we do, because I love what we do.
Oh yeah, totally. All right, well, thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to check out some of our other stuff.
Yes, thanks for watching your phone as they had nothing on it and you just listen to shit.
I'm sorry, I'm still in such a YouTube mindset. I've always been bad about that. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah.
So.
And thanks for calling you out in front of everybody. Because remember, as we've been told, you can't edit audio.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. That's what I heard.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Did you hear when I paused?
All right there, folks. That was Our Moms Think We're Funny. Let's give them a hand.